Will Thompson get by El Nino, or is Gilbert going to get punked? Kung Lee hopes to release a holiday classic on Scott Smith, and Strikeforce welcomes a king and the law. This is the Fight Network's official preview of Strikeforce Evolution. Hey there, fight fans. I'm John Pollock. We are ending the year off looking ahead to this weekend as Strikeforce presents Evolution from the HP Pavilion in San Jose, California. It's been the most important year of Strikeforce's history, and they look to end the calendar year off with a huge show from their home base. John Ramdeen will join me later in the program to break down the card, including the main event, which has been 18 months in the making. In the main event Saturday night, the lightweight title picture will be solved as returning champion, the 16-2 Josh "The Punk" Thompson steps into the cage with the man he took the title from in June of 2008, current interim champion Gilbert Melendez, who holds an identical record of 16-2 as the American Kickboxing Academy and Cesar Gracie camps collide for Strikeforce lightweight supremacy.
As long as I stick to my game plan, as long as I implement my game plan and I put the pressure, then I don't think it'll be any different outcome. You know, he might win a round this time, but that might be it. You know, just winning, whatever it takes. You know, I think everyone understands that there's no secrets in what's going to happen. He's going to go out there and he's going to punch and try and take me down and try and push the pace, and I'm going to try and keep it on the feet and and mix it up. I'm a well-rounded fighter. I mean, I can sub him, I can knock him out, I can go the distance with him, I can do whatever. So, and he can do the same. So, I don't think there's really any secrets on what's going to happen. You know, he needs to implement his game plan. I need to stop him from doing that, and that's really what this whole thing comes down to. So.
It's been 15 months for Josh "The Punk" Thompson, but this Saturday night he finally steps back inside of a cage, fully healed from 2 separate leg breaks to prove he still is the king on top of the Strikeforce lightweight division.
And I don't know if he's gonna do it. Thompson on the attack. Bowman in trouble.
The man that will welcome the Punk back to action is the same man that was dethroned for that top spot, Gilbert Melendez. When the two collided in June of 2008, it was a surprise to many at just how dominant Thompson was over the 5-round fight in securing a unanimous decision victory, handing Melendez the second loss of his professional career, and most of all taking the Strikeforce lightweight championship. After 2 attempts to put the rematch together, Melendez didn't sit back and await his title opportunity. Instead, he stepped in to fight replacement Rodrigo Dam this past April and became the interim lightweight champion.
He's on his bike.
Down going inside first.
Beautiful right hand. He's out. Fight is done.
A title he successfully defended in August with a 3rd-round TKO victory over Mitsuhiro Ishida and avenged a December 2007 loss in the process.
And Ishida in trouble now. Melendez jumps on him. Ground and pound. And this was over.
Melendez has plenty to gain Saturday night. With 1 victory, Melendez wins his gold back and cleans out the losses on his record.
Give me the belt. Give me the belt.
There is no grudge, no animosity, and no ill will. For these 2 lightweight talents, it's all about being the #1 lightweight in the Strikeforce promotion and leaving the cage with the same thing that has brought these 2 back together, a mutual respect. John Ramdeen joins us to break down Strikeforce Evolution, the main event. John, Josh Thompson, Gilbert Melendez, their first fight 18 months ago, a shutout by Josh Thompson. How surprised were you at that performance in June?
I was simply amazed. Everybody thought that Gilbert Melendez would just run through Josh Thompson. Melendez fighting some of the best talent overseas in Japan, and at the time was considered to be one of the top 10 lightweights in the world. Josh Thompson just had an impeccable game plan, used his striking, and he out-wrestled Gilbert Melendez in this fight, and I think that was the difference why he won.
Now, Strikeforce officials have been trying to put this fight together all year long, but unfortunately Josh Thompson breaking his leg on 2 separate occasions. How much is that going to affect his preparation for this fight, in addition to the cage rust?
Well, you talk about the cage rust. I think that's the bigger factor. I had a chance to talk to Josh Thompson, and he just wants to be 100% healthy going into a fight against a top fighter like Gilbert Melendez. He is healthy now. But again, when you train at a camp like American Kickboxing Academy, you're going to have your teammates push you, and I know that Josh Thompson's going to be prepared going into this fight.
Now, on the other side of the coin, we have Gilbert Melendez, a guy that has been very active in 2009, defeating Rodrigo Dam and also avenging a loss to Mitsuhiro Ishida, in addition to training with the likes of Nick Diaz and Jake Shields. How much of a factor is Melendez's improvement going to be in this fight?
Well, I think that Gilbert Melendez actually has the advantage in this fight. Josh Thompson already knows what it takes to beat Gilbert Melendez. We didn't see the best Gilbert Melendez, and I think he can amend his game to try to become the undisputed champion.
Any chance we see Shinya Aoki cage side?
We cross our fingers. Hopefully Strikeforce gets him signed to see one of the top lightweights in the world.
And your official prediction, John?
Oh, gosh. I'm going to have to say Josh Thompson wins a unanimous decision again. I think the guy's very, very talented, has the wrestling and grappling abilities, and I think he's going to be able to take out Gilbert Melendez. I think the fight is going to be closer than we expect, though.
It was in March of 2008 when Strikeforce fans last saw Cung Le fight. After relinquishing his middleweight championship, he is back with the promotion after his movie schedule was bumped and allowed the Sanshou artist to take this fight with the always exciting and tough Scott Smith. This will only be Lee's 7th professional mixed martial arts bout. All 6 have been W's, while Smith holds a record of 16 wins and 6 losses, with only one of those fights going to the judges. With a booming movie career on the big screen, Lee hopes to end the year with a box office blockbuster.
It's exciting. I mean, you got technician and a banger. I mean, that's pretty exciting. You got vested interest in the fight, So I like it.
Every time you step in the cage, you always got to have some kind of concern and respect your opponent and just go out there and compete. But I think it's a great matchup for the fans and for Strikeforce.
A former middleweight king who left it all behind returns to reclaim his kingdom.
Some of his legendary kicking techniques, he does Jack Shamrock Shaw.
The star of fighting, Pandorum, and Tekken.
Time to die.
Cung Le. Kung Fu Lee enters the cage to battle the man with the hands of steel, Scott Smith.
Scratch, but Smith didn't walk out of that. Oh, Smith just tagged Kyle Nogue with the right hand. Down goes Nogue, hands of steel personified.
Audiences are raving in anticipation. Robin Black claims these two are gonna fight. Wei Ting states, I'll download it later. Tyler the intern says, I guess it'll be okay. It's gonna be a non-stop action thrill ride. Lee, Smith, in home theaters everywhere this Saturday night. Special sneak preview right now.
John, with all due respect to Sherlock Holmes, it looks like Cung Le Scott Smith has the chance to be the biggest holiday blockbuster this season, and Cung Le making a rare cameo appearance for the Strikeforce organization.
Yeah, you have to definitely applaud Strikeforce. They put together a fight that's simply going to entertain the fans. You have two fighters that want to stand and trade and knock the other one out.
Now, Scott Smith, always an unorthodox boxer. We've seen some of the most exciting fights from this guy come from behind wins against Pete Sell and Benji Raddick. Now, he's a guy that always wants to have the show-stealing fight, and sometimes at the expense of his game plan.
But that's the type of fighter he is. He's a guy that's a prize fighter that wants to go there and make some money for his family, and he knows this is the way to do so, to come out and unfortunately absorb some punishment. But again, you said it, the guy's always in exciting fights. You talk about those two fights, his fights with Robbie Lawler and his come from behind win over Kyle Nogue. The guy knows how to entertain, and why not give him a fight like this?
Now, Smith has also stated that he feels both men have very underrated ground games. I think that the chances of seeing these two on their backs, very slim.
Yeah, in 2009, you have to have good ground game, you have to have good wrestling skills, you have to have an all-round game, but it simply doesn't matter. Nobody is here to watch Scott Smith showcase his jiu-jitsu skills, and same with Cung Le. Nobody cares if he can do an omoplata. They want to see two guys stand and trade and try to knock the other one out.
Now, with Cung Le assuming a victory this Saturday, I mean, how difficult does that become for Strikeforce, trying to promote Cung Le and their middleweight division when you know that Cung is only going to be able to fight sporadically?
Well, Cung Le, he is interested in fighting. That's what he wants, but he also wants to be a movie star. So he has to find the balance. And I know he's very close with Scott Coker, and I think Coker's going to allow him to do both. I think he's going to allow him to have the movie parts, and when he's off and he's not committed to doing something like that, if there's a fight that makes sense to him, Cung Le will take it.
And does Cung Le's undefeated streak continue this Saturday?
I don't know. I think it's a pick-em. Stylistically, you look at his fight with Frank Shamrock. Shamrock just avoided the ground game, but if Scott Smith can somehow tag Cung Le and then take him down to the ground, I think Scott Smith could win this fight. But if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I'm going to take Cung Le wins a third-round TKO.
I predict that audiences will be raving, and that is the official end of our movie puns. Two of Strikeforce's latest middleweight acquisitions will make their promotional debut this Saturday as the 10-2 Abu Dhabi champion Ronaldo Jacare Souza takes on the 2000 Olympic silver medalist Lawal Lindland, who enters this fight with a record of 21 wins and 6 losses.
Tô torcendo pro Jacare, né? Jacare...
I'll be cheering for Jacare.
He's very good on the ground and continues to improve in his stand-up game. He represents himself very well, and he'll be a big star in the future for sure.
E vai ser grande lutador e vale tudo no futuro.
That's a tough fight. Jacare is very good, and Lindland has a lot of experience. I think it's experience versus youth.
Lindland. Jacare. Lindland, Jacare? Jacare, 100%.
Jacare is going to win that fight, 100% guaranteed.
100%.
It will be a night of debuts on December the 19th as Matt Lindland and Ronaldo Jacare Souza will both make their debuts for the Strikeforce organization. In what will be a match that pits a veteran versus an upcoming talent, fans can expect to see a grappling clinic when these two collide. Matt Lindland is a seasoned mixed martial arts veteran who has competed in top organizations against big names.
The thing is, I didn't have a rope to help aid me out of getting out of that arm bar like he did the takedown, and I'd love to get in here and fight him again.
The Olympic silver medalist is known for his ability to wear down opponents and impose an unrelenting ground and pound game. Though Lindland is coming off what could be considered his most devastating knockout loss to Vitor Belfort at Affliction's Day of Reckoning event.
So this is a win-win situation from no matter. Oh my God! Went down. That left hook. The end could be near. That will do it. Game, set, match, just like that.
His motivation for a win remains at a high, which results in an increased level of danger for his opponent.
Puts it right into a half mount. He's still going for the choke.
After compiling 7 straight first-round submission wins, Jacare entered the Dream promotion. And it was there that he became recognized as a legitimate prospect. At the Dream 6 Middleweight Grand Prix final, the submission grappler was considered a favorite as he continued to showcase his ground skills. However, his night ended with an unexpected upkick. He would hope to rebound off this loss at Dream 9, but an illegal soccer kick courtesy of Jason Mayhem Miller would result in a no contest.
Jacare's been cut via that kick to the head.
Without a win since September of 2008, Jacare aims for a victory over a big name like Matt Lindland in efforts to once again become relevant in the middleweight division. John, I know when it comes to mixed martial arts or any style of combat, you are game to watch it. But I look at Matt Lindland and Jacare Souza, and I see a terribly boring 3-round fight with Matt Lindland on top.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen that way. I think, believe it or not, Matt Lindland is going to keep this fight standing. Because if he goes to the ground with Jacare, Jacare's jiu-jitsu background will get him a submission victory. Matt Lindland, although very competent on the ground, he has submissions over Carlos Newton and Travis Lutter, 2 very accomplished jiu-jitsu players. He does not want to go to the ground with a guy the level of Jacare. If he's to take Jacare down to the ground and end up into his guard, it's a very dangerous position for him. So I think Lindland will use his world-class wrestling to keep this fight standing and try to punish Jacare. I don't think this fight is going to a decision. I think Jacare is too good on the ground, too good grappling. I think he's going to pull out the submission victory and beat the law.
What about the striking game of Jacare? Because he has been training with Wanderlei Silva in preparation for this fight. Is Wanderlei Silva the best guy to be training striking with?
No, I don't think so. I think Wanderlei Silva works for him, but it is a wild style. What you have to look at is Jacare is bumped all over. He was training in Las Vegas at Extreme Couture, then went to train with Wanderlei Silva as well as Anderson Silva. He has to establish a camp, try to find out what works for him, but it really doesn't matter. Nobody was watching Jacare for his striking abilities. They want to see a world-class submission win, and I think that's what we're going to see.
Do you feel a title opportunity is at stake in this fight for the victor?
I don't think so, unless it's a very impressive performance by both guys. I think each guy needs to build their name, especially in the Strikeforce middleweight division. Let the world see who these guys are before they get a crack at the title.
So is John Randing going with Jacare or the law?
I'm going to have to say it is Jacare. Jacare is too good at the submission game, and I think he's going to take out the aging Matt Lindland, but Lindland could win TKO.
The main card Saturday night will also feature another debut in the form of heavyweight Muhammad King Mo Lawal, who enters this fight with a perfect record of 5-0, including a 25-second massacre of Mark Kerr this past August, as he takes on the 24-6 Mike Whitehead from The Ultimate Fighter Season 2, who just scored the biggest win of his career over Kevin Randleman in June.
I'm really excited, man. I'm ready, December 19th, I'm going to beat somebody up and get paid. It's going to be good, you know what I'm saying? I'm excited to show my skills to the rest of the world in America, you know what I'm saying? So it's going down.
He's going to have a lot, he's going to give a tour for a lot of guys. Whatever weight he will, if he's going for it, light heavyweight, and welterweight. He's a machine. Yeah, he's a legit fighter, and he likes to learn, and he has been learning a lot since the first time I met him back to this in Colorado Springs. And he always comes to my gym. I always go train with Ryan, his coach, and we always train together. You know.
Eu acho que o King Mo vai ser futuro campeão.
I think King Mo will be a future champion. He's got 5 fights and 5 victories. People will be talking a lot about him because he's got a great stand-up game. I've been helping him with his ground game in jiu-jitsu. He loves to learn and is a natural fighter. Without a doubt, King Mo will be a future Strikeforce champion.
Com certeza vai ser o futuro campeão do Strikeforce.
You know, I'll tell you, I watched Mo fight in Japan, and I said, God, this guy's charismatic, great personality. These are aspects. I mean, these are personalities that we want to bring to Strikeforce, and he's more than just a fighter. He's a very charismatic, young athlete. But he was the real deal, and I would talk to my guys, and then they would talk out into the community. This was probably 6 months ago, and every training camp or every person he's worked out with said he's the real deal, and grab this guy. So I really feel Mo Lawal is the hottest free agent, that was out there. That when I say free agent, I mean like the #1 draft pick. That's what I call him. Mo Lawal is the #1 draft pick. You heard it here.
He didn't mention your name, but he said that he was going to pop a pimple on December 19th and use some Oxima or whatever it's called, the pimple cream and all that stuff, the play on the last name.
I've heard probably since I was, in middle school.
So you're not impressed with the trash talk?
No. I know he's going to do it. That's his forte. I'm going to let him run with it. It doesn't bother me either way. I've fought guys that talk better than him, so it's all right. Let him run his mouth. I don't think he's really been tested just yet. I mean, no disrespect to any of his other opponents, but he's a guy that definitely he'll tell you how good he is, for sure. If you want to know how good he is, just ask him.
John King Mo Lawal, here's a pickup by Strikeforce I'm very excited about. Division I All-American wrestler and a guy that even once had a WWE tryout, taking on Mike Whitehead, an All-American wrestler who's won 15 of his last 16 bouts.
You talk about Jacare and Matt Lindland potentially being dull. This has snoozer written all over it.
August 28th, 2009, John Ramsey, and King Mo Lawal, Mark Kerr, 28 seconds later.
Mark Kerr. Enough said.
The smashing machine.
Come
on.
He hasn't smashed
Who did Whitehead beat? Kevin Randleman. It's the pioneers here.
We do have an interesting matchup. King Mo starting off his career, and he's in tough against a very durable wrestler in Mike Whitehead, and that's why I think this fight may not live up to the expectations. I think two guys are very, very tough, and it's going to be very, very difficult for either of them to take the other one down to the ground. I think it's going to be a very sloppy slugfest, which could be entertaining.
Now, Lawal, he's competed at both heavyweight and light heavyweight. To me, it only makes sense that he goes down to 205, where Strikeforce needs guys.
Yeah, again, I talked to him, and he said he's willing to fight wherever, whether it be heavyweight, 205 pounds, or middleweight. Wherever Strikeforce needs him, he'll compete there. And I think that's a good thing for all these fighters to be willing to go up and down in weight class. It really gives Strikeforce a ton of options.
I'm going to fight at 205 and heavyweight. And if I have to, maybe a catch weight of 195, 190, or if I have to make 184, man, it's whatever. I'm just trying to fight, so I'm not worried about it. They got a good stable of fighters for me to showcase my skills against. It's gonna happen in heavyweight, but 205 mainly. But if I have to make 185, hey man, let's cut that weight.
Who's gonna win this sloppy slugfest, as you've titled it?
I'm gonna say Muhammad Lawal pulls out the victory. I think he is gonna look good, but it is gonna be messy.
Don't go anywhere. When we return, we take a look at the impact Strikeforce is having on the mixed martial arts industry and a look at Saturday's undercard action. The undercard of Strikeforce Evolution is going to feature light heavyweight action as Scott Lighty takes on Tough 8 alumni Antwain Britt. Lighty enters the fight with a record of 5-0, while Britt holds a record of 9 wins and 3 losses. And in lightweight action, the 20-11 Daisuke Nakamura will meet the 13-1 Brian Travers. 2009 will go down as the biggest year to date thus far in the history of the Strikeforce promotion. They landed a deal on Showtime, they signed Fedor Emelianenko, got onto CBS network television, promoted the highest profile female mixed martial arts bout in history, and head into 2010 with the momentum of just signing Dan Henderson and Bobby Lashley. Here's a look at the evolution of the promotion straight from the fighters that call Strikeforce their home.
Strikeforce is a San Jose-based company. I was born and raised in San Jose. I moved away for high school, came back after that, and Scott Coker is a friend of my trainer, Javier Melendez. Actually used to help promote Javier. So, Scott basically called me up and said, hey, I'm going to be starting MMA with Strikeforce, and I had fought some kickboxing shows for him in the past. I liked how he did business. Scott, obviously, people can tell by the way he does business. He's going to be around for a while.
If you go down the list of chains of, Affliction, IFL, Pro Elite, Bodog, WFA, or a lot of other fight. There's 10 of these guys that have been out there, poured a lot of money into it, and eventually, dissolved. Because I think it's not about the sport, because the sport's healthy. To me, if you look at the Strikeforce business, it's healthy. UFC's healthy. It's just that these guys didn't know the martial arts fight business, and that was the problem.
I can tell Strikeforce is a really good company to work for, and they treat you well, they treat you with respect. I love to fight for Strikeforce.
It's just been easy for me to relate with my promoter when he lives in town. I can just call him anytime, I can meet him anytime. I can say, hey, I'm having a problem, or hey, I need this, or anything he can do to help me out. He's been there, so I think it's a great show.
The thing is, I like to fight in Japan, and I can fight in Japan while I'm fighting for Strikeforce. And Scott Coker's a cool dude. I like Scott Coker, what I'm saying? He's a laid back, down to earth person, what I'm saying? He's not always on the screen, on the camera screen. He ain't like Diddy. He don't act like Diddy do, what I'm saying, compared to some other people, what I'm saying? He's kind of he just sits back and chills, lays back in the cut, what I'm saying, and does his thing, does business, that's all. Got no ego, what I'm saying? So he's easy to work with.
I'm currently fighting for Strikeforce right now, and I'm treated very well there. I have one more fight, and after that fight, I could re-sign with Strikeforce, or I can go to Japan, the United States, or Canada. Really, I have the freedom to fight anywhere.
And in being here, it gives you something to strive for. I signed with Strikeforce for the long run, and knowing that this is a possibility, it's amazing, man. This event's been as big as anything I've seen so far, and I've been to a couple UFCs.
It's only getting bigger and bigger, and people have to give Strikeforce a little bit of time, and I feel it's going to be the biggest organization with the platform Showtime, CBS, so it can only get bigger and bigger.
Right now, my contract's with Strikeforce, so I gotta say I'm pretty happy there, and they take care of me. So, and there's no better place for me right now than fighting at home. I mean, like I said, it's a San Jose-based company, and the nerves in the beginning of fighting at home, but now just the HP Pavilion is possibly, I think, the best venue I've ever fought in.
John, as we took a look just there, Strikeforce having a huge year in 2009. As you look into 2010, where are the next steps for this organization?
I think the biggest step is Dan Henderson. You have a huge opportunity with this guy. They said that he may fight Jake Shields. I don't think that makes sense because there's too many guys in the middleweight division to have Dan Henderson fight there. I think the 205-pound division is where he needs to be, or the heavyweight division. A fight with Fedor would make perfect sense. A ton of people would want to see that fight, but I think first off, he's got to match up against Babalu on CBS, get some exposure if he wants to challenge Mousasi for the title as well. They got to build the women's division. I think Strikeforce has a huge opportunity here to build up Cyborg, to rebuild Gina Carano, build up girls like Marloes Conan and Erin Tohill and Sarah Kaufman, to let the world know that there's a ton of female talent out there that can put on a show.
Last question. A year from now, John, what are we going to be saying when we bring up the name Herschel Walker and his impact?
One and done.
There you go. He's John Ramdeen, everyone, the best in the business. I want to thank everyone at the Fight Network and here at Extreme Couture Canada. Enjoy Strikeforce Evolution this Saturday night from the HP Pavilion in San Jose, California. I'm John Pollock. Enjoy the fights.